So I'm going to stay on the stage because I'll be doing the first keynote. So I want to kick off this day by really speaking about the role of decentralization. We're living in an increasingly centralized world, and obviously if we're all here together, it's because we're interested or very knowledgeable already about the values of decentralization. So it's very much linked to basically the whole mission of this event and especially the theme of this year. So here we go. So a bit on my background. So I studied modern Chinese history, so very passionate about geopolitics, what's happening right now. And I worked in management consulting before really jumping into the world of Web3, joining Neue Capital, which is one of our sponsors, but also a VC firm. I recently left and have been focusing on two things. One is the Brussels Blockchain Week, which we've been building, and also Gratiago. Gratiago, which is a project that tries to build the social security of tomorrow using blockchain as a core technology. But we'll be talking about that tomorrow. So what do I want to talk about today with you? That's a bit fast, so yeah, here we go. I want to talk about the current state of the global economy, where we stand and where we're headed. We've had a lot of serious events over the last year, and I think it's important that we address them. Also, the changing world order. As we know, the US, China, there's been some tensions recently, and why maybe this time might be a different opportunity compared to what we've seen in the past and in history. And then obviously we're here at the Brussels Blockchain Week talking about Belgium and Europe, so I also want to cover the opportunity that this could be for Belgium and Europe. So looking at the global economy, this is my point of view. You can share it or not, but I wanted to tell you that in my view we're sort of in a ship that's filling up with water that has a lot of holes, especially if we talk about the Western economy. We have mounting inflation, we have rising debt levels, we have bank defaults, we have cuts in spending. So, I mean, all the symptoms are there. So if we look at a boat that's rising, that has its level of water rising, this could be, compared to having a lot of passengers and a lot of cargo. And what's happening in this case is that slowly, we're asking passengers to contribute more to the boat. This is what we see in Belgium with taxes that are increasing, and we're still discussing more increases in taxes, but also rationing. Rationing is going to be the reduction of spending on social security. That's a big example. So within this boat, I like this image of that issue. And then finally, we might also end up poking holes in the boat to help the water get out, and this could be compared to a debt restructuring. So just to give you an idea, this boat is not doing really well, and we'll have to find solutions. And in our view, a companionship could actually provide some of these solutions. And this companionship could actually take the shape of cryptocurrencies, and more particularly Bitcoin. That is not necessarily going to replace the big ship, that's not the idea, but at least provide valuable solutions. So I'll come back in a minute to this, but the idea is that history repeats itself. Ray Dalio is a great example of someone who does it really well and explains it. So we've had many rise and falls of empires in the past. This is a new one. We've had the Netherlands in the 19th century, then the UK. Now we've got the US slowly decreasing. And some symptoms are social unrest, geopolitical tension, inflation that you all know. And inflation, I mean currency devaluation here. Really the dollar and the euro losing their value. Bank defaults, and then recently also, as we've seen, debt ceilings being increased. Now, why might this be different this time? Well, we've had a lot of empires rise and fall, but this time we've got something new, which is blockchain technology. Blockchain technology, as surprising as it might sound, can really change the way we exchange value. Most of you probably all know this, but over the last 5,000 years, money has been really challenged and used, and in the power of a centralized entity like monarchs and now governments. This is the first time in history that we actually have money being owned by decentralized entities, and this could really break the monopoly in this case. Redefining trust, we have a lot of intermediaries. As you all know, smart contracts can improve this aspect and reduce the number of intermediaries. And very importantly, also peer-to-peer transactions. We've got 1.7 billion people that are non-banked at this point, or unbanked, and peer-to-peer transactions could really offer a lot of solutions in the future. Now, as I said, it's not a matter of either we go in the traditional finance space and we take that, or we go in the blockchain space. At the Brussels Blockchain Week, we believe it's a combination of both worlds. It's not one or the other. Traditional finance needs crypto. This is how much money we've been printing over the last 20 years, over the last 100 years, and you can see over the last 15 years, it's really exponential. And then we're still asking ourselves why we have inflation. I mean, if you think that we've got, 6 times more money in circulation over the last 15 years, well, it's not surprising that our money is losing its value. Here, cryptocurrencies can also offer a solution, being decentralized, being very transparent about the issuance of their money and the inflation rates. Decentralization is key, obviously. Having different types of monies can really help build a more balanced world. And then, as I just said, revolutionize transactions through peer-to-peer transactions. Now, crypto, and that's a big message also, and something I want to share with you. Organizing the Brussels Blockchain Week, we're in touch with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who work in the Web3 sector, and who are very wary of society as a whole, and especially regulation. They say, I don't necessarily want to talk to regulators, I'm going to do things on my end. Well, we believe this is not going to happen. I mean, if you want to reach mass adoption, you got to exchange. You got to talk, and you got to educate regulators, but you got also to understand that regulators are much more knowledgeable than you think they are. And this is the whole spirit we have here. So we think crypto is not a revolution that's going to, erase everything we have and replace it. We think it's an evolution. We think it has a lot to learn, and this is the whole spirit of today in particular. We have existing frameworks that are very useful and that have been built over the last 300 years, and crypto has a lot to learn from it. Obviously, new things will have to be created, but there is a base that we can build on. And then finally, the infrastructure. Crypto is also using the existing payment infrastructure, 5G, everything we have in society, and we got to be aware of that. Now, talking about the opportunity this represents, you might have been aware that China has been officially opening up to the potential of Web3, but deep down with the social credit system and their system, the match is not there. I mean, if you think about decentralizations and its values, China is never going to match the Web3's core values. The US, well, it's been a bit of a war in recent months. Last week we saw that, or was it yesterday or 2 days ago, we saw that the SEC filed charges against both Binance and Coinbase, the biggest exchanges in the world. So we see that in that case, there's a clear opportunity. How long is it going to last? Not sure, but there's a clear opportunity for the EU and Belgium to really build a clear ecosystem and to welcome a great industry. So as the EU, well, we've got amazing is a big word, but we've got a solid legal and regulatory infrastructure that is being put in place. When it comes to Belgium, well, we've tried to get in touch with Belgian politicians, besides obviously Christophe, but it's very hard for them to, it was very hard to reach them and to have them come to the event. So I think in this case, if we speak bluntly, Belgium still has a lot to achieve and a lot to build. So to conclude, I think it's important to remind people that what's at stake is not just the technology being, explained and described. There's much more. We're talking about our freedom. If you don't have control over your own money, well, you can't even pay food for your children. You can't pay school. You can't pay transport. So it's essential that we retain that control. And in this sense, if we only evolve in a system where the CBDCs are the standard and there's nothing else, this could be a danger, because as we've seen already in the UK, freezing assets, or even Justin Trudeau, who's not necessarily an authoritarian dictator, he's a very democratically elected prime minister, but he was still able to freeze the assets of thousands of people who did not act as he wanted. And then I believe it's not going to stop there. I believe that if we let CBDCs evolve and only be present, we might face some issues and increase surveillance, as you can see on the slide. But so this reinforces the fact that we need these discussions. Stable coins, cryptocurrencies are very complementary to our current system, and it's essential for us to keep promoting them. Concretely, this is what I want to finish with. We think financial education is something essential for the whole of population. This is also why we're building the Brussels Blockchain Week, this conference and the week. Active participation by the population. People need to educate themselves, to be aware, to challenge, to also challenge their local politicians about what's happening, what's in place, where are we headed. Especially as Belgium, I think we need a clear strategy. Who do we want to be in this whole ecosystem? What do we want to push forward? What type of companies? Is it hardware? Is it software? Is it services? And finally, well, I mean, that's the whole topic of today, a regulatory framework. So I wish you a great conference. Enjoy today and tomorrow, and very happy to talk. If you have any questions, we'll be walking around. Thank you.